It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
those who say that we are rushing this issue of civil rights, I say to them, we are 172 years late.
I'm a Minnesota senator. I am on the side of Minnesotans. It's an honor to serve Minnesota, and I intend to win this race. Thank you, everybody.
That the spirit of progressive Minnesota is alive and well.
We will have a president who stands up for American workers and American businesses and American farmers.
Help us build a better future for everyone in this state.
I have spent my life in public service speaking up for Minnesotans who deserve a stronger voice in our government.
And as simple whole idea that everybody counts and everybody matters.
Public safety, education, and economic justice.
From the start, this campaign has always been about what we're fighting for in this country. What we're fighting for.
If we are going to move Minnesota forward, we need to reach out and we need to speak out for workers' rights, women's rights, human rights, and civil rights. We need to work for that.
One.
Well, welcome to 2020, everybody. A few technical difficulties, but thank you for sticking with us. And good evening, DFLers, and welcome to the 2020 Humphrey-Mondale Dinner. 4 years ago at a DFL dinner, the late, great John Lewis spoke to us under very different circumstances. He talked about his journey. He talked about the trials he went through and the values he fought for. He talked about how we needed to get into good trouble. And he talked about the stakes of that election. Now, 4 years later, unfortunately, John Lewis is no longer with us, but his spirit and his example guide us still. 4 long years later, and we are faced with the most momentous election of our lives. I know you've heard that phrase before. Now, I confess I've used that phrase a time or two, but I also know that you understand it to be true now more than ever. As our nominee, Vice President Joe Biden, says, right now we are in the fight for the soul of our country. Everything that makes America great, our strength, our compassion, our unity, our integrity, our decency, and our belief in the limitless possibility of ourselves and each other, all of that is on the line in this election. I'm so happy to have Vice President Biden's running mate with us tonight, Senator Kamala Harris. Senator Harris represents what is great about America, the strength that comes from the mosaic of our different backgrounds and identities, the power of the promise of America that says to every little boy and girl that no matter where you come from or what you look like or in what faith tradition you were raised, in this country, you can rise as high as your talent can take you. We're fighting, Democrats are fighting to make that promise real for everyone. That's the America we're fighting for in this election, and that's what Donald Trump and the Republicans are trying to take away. But we're also fighting for things even more basic in this country right now. We are in the midst of a pandemic that has killed over 200,000 Americans and over 2,000 of our fellow Minnesotans. It didn't have to be this bad. Donald Trump's bungled response from the beginning, and he bungled it. He failed to understand that the fundamental duty of the President of the United States is to protect the American people. But Donald Trump only thinks about himself. So instead of mobilizing this country and taking action to combat the virus, the president set us against each other. He's done his best to make this crisis partisan, to polarize and divide a nation that's already isolated and afraid, to turn neighbor against neighbor, to discredit experts and spur on heavily armed right-wing extremists. Donald Trump is doing all of this to distract from his own colossal, epic failure to help the American people when we needed it most. And so in this election, we are fighting to protect ourselves, our families, our neighbors, and our communities from the frightening negligence and incompetence of a president who frankly doesn't care about us. We saw that clearly in his debate performance the other night. Donald Trump is the most unfit person to ever hold the office of the presidency. When Trump had the chance to disown white supremacy, he refused. And terrifyingly, he didn't just refuse, he called them to action. A sitting president of the United States calling far-right white supremacy hate groups to action. That is how morally bankrupt he is. Worse still, we know those hate groups were spurred on by the president's call. It's clear from those comments and dozens of other examples that in this election, we are fighting for the basic human rights of all people. The murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis was the spark that ignited a massive new reckoning with the systemic racism that has been with us since the beginning. The promise of America cannot flourish if it doesn't extend to all of us equally. And what we're seeing after Mr. Floyd's death is a righteous demand that we move this country further down the road of freedom and equality for all people. I truly believe, the bottom of my heart, that with a President Biden and a Vice President Harris, America is poised to make that great leap forward. While we face these momentous times, we know that Joe Biden can and will lead us through them because he's done it before. Vice President Biden was instrumental in the Obama-Biden administration's successful response to the Ebola outbreak, and he worked tirelessly to help Americans rebuild and recover from the Great Recession. While Donald Trump only cares about the people who voted for him, Joe Biden will fight for all Americans. Joe Biden understands the challenges we face, and he knows how to solve them. Joe knows what it means to accept responsibility for the lives and livelihoods of communities across the country, and Joe Biden knows what it means to lead with strength and, yes, with humility. I'm proud to support Joe because I know Joe, and he is a good man, a man of faith, a man who has dedicated his life to public service, who listens to experts and trusts in science. Joe Biden will be an advocate for people of color, for women, for unions, for the LGBTQ community, for farmers, and for working families. And I know one other thing about Joe Biden, and I know both he and I agree on this. It's that this election is not about him. It's about us. This election is about our country, our values, our hopes and dreams for the future, and the type of community we all work every day to build, and the communities that we dream to live in. You see, something greater than our candidates is on the ballot this fall. When kids are being locked in cages at the border and refugees turned away from our shores, human rights are on the ballot. When the multi-millionaire president of the United States pays $0 in federal income taxes for 10 years, while people, hard-working people, are stuck working 2 to 3 jobs, still living below the poverty line, economic justice is on the ballot. When people can't get access to health care and people are dying because they are rationing their expensive prescription drugs, universal health care is on the ballot. When women are still being paid pennies on the dollar compared to what a man makes, and we still haven't passed an equal rights amendment in this country, women's equality is on the ballot. When the Republican Party has become overrun with sycophants and hypocrites and they ignore the will of the people, and jam forward a reactionary Supreme Court justice who will overturn the Affordable Care Act and reverse Roe v. Wade, we know that reproductive rights are on the ballot. When kids like mine throughout America have to do active shooter drills in schools, and over 35,000 people have died in shootings the last year alone, gun violence prevention is on the ballot. When a black man can be murdered in the streets of Minneapolis in cold blood by people who are supposed to protect us, a modern day lynching, we know that racial justice is on the ballot. And lastly, when our frontline workers are risking their lives each and every day to save others, and Donald Trump and the Republicans turn their back on these everyday heroes, we know that humanity and basic decency is on the ballot. You see, politics is, at the end of the day, about improving people's lives. Winning elections is not our goal. It's not an end in and of itself. It is a beginning. It is what gives us, the people, the power to make change. It's what John Lewis told us 4 years ago and what he stood for. Now is our time, DFLers. We have 33 days until this critical election. Donald Trump thinks he can win Minnesota. He's made it a priority for his campaign, and he and his surrogates are spending a lot of time here. But we are not going to let him win. We are going to fight him everywhere, from our cities to our farms to our regional centers and everywhere in between. The DFL party, your DFL party, is calling, texting, and organizing against Donald Trump's campaign of chaos. Vice President Biden was right on when he said this campaign is about Scranton versus Park Avenue. That's what voters are realizing, and that's what's going to drag Trump down across this state and across this country. As Paul Wellstone said, if we don't fight hard enough for the things that we stand for, at some point we have to recognize that we don't really stand for them. 33 days, DFLers, to stand up and fight. 33 days to change history and build the future we all deserve, and 33 days to restore sanity and decency to the White House. Thank you, DFLers. Thank you for all that you will do to save our country and change our world. We are grateful. Now, this event is our last major fundraising event of the year to make sure that we have the resources we need to turn out every single DFL vote in the state of Minnesota. So we're doing things just a little bit differently to make this a fun experience for you at home. During the event, you'll see some fundraising goal meters pop up every now and then, which are linked to live contributions coming in at dfl.org/donate. Let me say that again, dfl.org/donate. And you may even see a comment of yours pop up on the screen. As much as possible, we would love for this to be an interactive experience. So I hope you'll join us by being active participants in our Humphrey-Mondale dinner tonight. With that, it is now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the evening. We all know her as an inspiring policymaker. From big structural change to tiny pinky promises, Senator Elizabeth Warren gave the American people a fight to believe in. She continues to speak truth to power in the U.S. Senate and will undoubtedly go down in history as one of this nation's great servant leaders. It is an incredible honor to have her join us tonight. Please take it away, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Hello, Minnesota Democrats. It is good to be back in Minnesota, even if only virtually. You know, I sure wish that we could be together in person, but we know that's just not possible right now. We also know that Donald Trump's presidency has been a dark cloud hovering over our democracy. But Democrats across this great state have refused to let chaos and corruption snuff out your light. And so much of that is because of the bold and brilliant leaders like the chairman of the Minnesota Democrats, Ken Martin, and my dear friend and colleague and fellow warrior in the fight, Senator Tina Smith. But it's also because of your will to fight. And boy, do we have a fight on our hands. This is a time of unprecedented crisis. Across this country, thousands and thousands of people have died of an infectious disease that we could have had under control by now. Our economy is being squeezed to its breaking point, and the fight for racial justice has reached a new moment that demands bold action. America is crying out for leadership. And what has Donald Trump done in response? Well, he's ignored the science, he's fanned the flames of racism, and he's employed tactics straight out of the playbooks of fascists and dictators. And there's a reason for that. Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress know that if people are heard, Republicans will lose. So these elected officials are willing to attack the very foundation of our country. They openly attack the rule of law, openly attack the right to assemble, openly attack the right to vote. They openly threaten our democracy. Yeah, this is a time of unprecedented crisis. But here's the good news. This November, the American people will have a chance to choose between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden gets it. He understands what working families are going through right now. Joe Biden knows that our system has been rigged to favor the rich and powerful and kick dirt in the faces of everyone else, an injustice that falls especially hard on Black and brown communities. And for months now, Joe has put forth a better cause of action and a clear vision of what he would do as president. Joe has also selected Senator Kamala Harris to run alongside him. Now, I've known Kamala Harris for a long time, from when she took on Wall Street during the financial crisis as Attorney General to working for the people every day as a United States Senator. Throughout her career, she has been unafraid. She has been an inspiration to millions of women, particularly Black and South Asian women. And as our vice presidential nominee, Kamala is making history. She'll be a great partner to Joe Biden in making our government a powerful force for good in the fight for social, racial, and economic justice. And I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that Joe and Kamala are elected in November so that they can get big things done for the American people starting in January 2021. But if we're going to defeat Donald Trump, elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, flip the Senate, hold the House, and pass progressive reforms, then we need to make sure that everyone's voice is heard at the ballot box. We need to build a grassroots electoral movement made up of Democrats with different backgrounds, different lived experiences, a group that can unite and excite Americans. And look, I get it. These fights are hard, and at times it can seem as if our labor is in vain. But I'm here today to remind each and every one of you that this is a fight to restore the soul of our nation. So we can't give in to fear, and we can't get back down. We must persist. And so that is why today I'm asking all of you to dig a little deeper, because this is the moment we've been called to. Give your time, your heart, whatever you can. Recruit all your friends, family, and colleagues to do the same. Yeah, we face an uphill battle, but you don't get what you don't fight for. So I hope you're ready to fight. Fight uphill for the weeks ahead, because Joe Biden is going up that hill, and I'm going to be right there with him, and we need you in this fight.
Thank you so much, Senator Warren. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. Now, the history of the DFL party is replete with people who stepped up and made invaluable contributions to our state through their hard work, their courage, and a willingness to face down long odds in the pursuit of a better future. Each year during the Humphrey-Mondale Dinner, the DFL party honors 6 Minnesotans with awards for their important contributions to the DFL party and to our great state of Minnesota. The 6 awards, Mondale, Humphrey, Wellstone, Freeman, Grow, and Munger, are named after historic DFL leaders and presented to those who embody their values and do justice to their legacy. This year's award winners stand squarely within that proud DFL party tradition and remind all of us engaged in Minnesota politics why we do what we do, which is to improve people's lives. The first award presented this evening is the Joan Grow Award for distinguished commitment to expanding access to democracy and justice in Minnesota. Our first award recipient is Karen Diver, the former chairwoman of the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and currently the Director of Business Development for the Native American Advancement Initiatives. From an early age, Karen realized that representation mattered in politics, and her passion for activism was sparked. That respect for the power of representation has driven Diver to work hard to amplify the voices of tribal communities that have gone unheard for too long in our politics. Karen has been a tremendous advocate for our First Nations. She was appointed by President Barack Obama to serve as his special assistant for Native American affairs. In this role, Karen worked with 27 federal agencies, state legislatures across the country, and over 574 tribal nations. In her current role as Director of Business Development for the Native American Advancement Initiatives, Karen supports the achievement, sustainability, and expansion of Native American advancement, as well as the recruitment and retention at the University of Arizona. So DFLers, it is my honor to present this year's Joan Grow Award to Karen Diver.
You know, when I first moved back to my homelands here in Minnesota, Joan Grow was, the most visible woman in Minnesota in politics and in public leadership. And the fact that, as Secretary of State, she was all about citizen voice and citizen access to democracy, that she was formidable in that, and, an unabashed feminist at the same time. Certainly she's a role model for generations of women here in Minnesota, and we can continue to thank her for her legacy. I've worked in the areas of human rights and justice for my entire career. I worked in the nonprofit sector. I was the director of the YWCA in Duluth for 12 years, and that is an organization that's dedicated to the empowerment of women and girls and the elimination of racism. I was able to work as chairwoman of my tribe for 3 terms, and that was interesting work. From that work, I was able to work with President Obama as his special assistant for Native American affairs. As a Native American woman, really understanding that women's rights are human rights, Native American rights are human rights, and if we are going to be the party of justice, then we need to make sure that we are also representative of tribal citizens and tribal issues. While we could look at lots of the inequity in the state, I'm going to focus on tribal citizenry and say to each person at every level of government, tribal citizens are your citizens too.
1.
Congratulations again to Karen. It's a well-deserved honor, and we're so thankful and grateful for your leadership. Our next award is the Orville L. Freeman Award for Distinguished Service to Greater Minnesota and Agricultural Issues. This year's Freeman Award recipient is my friend Tim Velde. When I think of Greater Minnesota and farmers, one of the first people that pops into my mind is Tim. Tim is a 4th-generation farmer from Granite Falls, where he has been an active member of the Minnesota Farmers Union, the Minnesota DFL Party, as well as a tremendous advocate for farmers across Greater Minnesota. Tim has used his experience to influence public policy on behalf of Minnesota farmers, consult with and advise leading politicians on key agricultural issues, and change laws to better the lives of communities across Greater Minnesota. Over the years, Tim has advised many leaders like Senator Tina Smith, Representative Colin Peterson, and Vice Presidents Walter Mondale and Hubert Humphrey. It is my real distinct honor to present this year's Orville L. Freeman Award to Tim Velde.
First things that I got involved in were years ago when Hubert Humphrey was senator, Walter Mondale also. When they were senators, they had a hearing in the cities to talk about farm taxes and real estate taxes and that, and I went down, testified before them, and actually found out that in talking with them, and some laws got changed and things got better for farmers and rural Minnesota just by being involved. Farming for me, I'm on the farm that my great-grandfather started in 1886. I'm a 4th generation here. We have kids and grandkids I think we'll be passing the farm on to. So to me, just the idea of being in the country and producing food for the world in something that I really enjoy. I wouldn't trade it for any other occupation. Orville Freeman was one of those people that realized that to be a part of a better world, a better state, and they talk about the greatest generation. He wasn't afraid to step in and do what needed to be done. He had a passion for agriculture, a passion for rural Minnesota, actually the rural United States. When he was Secretary of Agriculture, he did wonderful things to help agriculture, help the rural economy. He's an inspiration that I think a lot of people should try to live up to.
Congratulations, Tim, on your award this evening. And welcome back, everyone, to our virtual Humphrey-Mondale Dinner. We have over 1,000 people tuning in around the state and even around the country right now. So let's check in on our fundraising goal. It looks like we're well on our way to the $10,000 raised just during this live broadcast. So let's see if we can keep it up as we go along this evening. Now, it is my honor to introduce someone who has been fighting tooth and nail for the past six months to keep Minnesotans safe. Around the country, we have seen that it is America's governors who are stepping up and leading the way during this pandemic when the president has failed to do his job. Friends, let's give a warm welcome to our terrific governor, Governor Tim Walz.
Hey everyone, and welcome Minnesota DFLers. Governor Walz here. I know we're missing being in person. This is a night that all of us look forward to. It's a time to gather. It's a time to focus on our progressive history and lift up where we're going. And so I can't tell you how grateful I am for each of you. I know this has been a year like no other, but watching Minnesotans come together to protect their neighbors, watching them to come together as we address systemic issues around racism and the death of George Floyd. Those are things that DFLers have been talking about for years. And what I can tell you is adding more partners who really want to fix things is so critical. Speaking of folks who want to fix things, a huge shout out to our senators, Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith. While only one of them's on the ballot this year, both of them are a team like no other. We are blessed to have their leadership. We need to make sure that we send Senator Smith back as part of that dynamic team. And to our congressional delegation, thank you. Thanks for providing the resources necessary during this fight for COVID. Grateful, Angie Craig, Dean Phillips, man, what a great addition to Congress. I have to give a big thank you and shout out to my Congresswoman, Congresswoman McCollum. Thank you for your tireless work. Special thank you out there, Congresswoman Omar, lifting up voices that didn't have that voice before and making sure that the calls of Congress are exactly what new Minnesotans need to have. And special thank you to Colin Peterson, making sure that we know this is a big party. It is the DFL party, and our reach can extend across the state. We've got work to do, folks. We've got a pandemic. We know what we need to do to make it better. What we don't need to do is have Republicans fighting us on that. We need to make sure maybe we add a couple more to our congressional role, but more than anything, send back these folks, make sure they're there to fight the good fight. And here in Minnesota, I can tell you the difference between what we see in some states where infection rates went out the roof, where maybe they're not willing to address issues of police reform. Thank goodness we have Melissa Hortman and leadership of the DFL in the House of Representatives. I want to thank all of them who are on here. I know it's hard votes. I know we've asked you to stand with us, and by standing with us, you're standing with Minnesotans, and they will not forget it come November 3rd, or if you're voting right now, which we encourage you to do. And I think the biggest thing we all need to know is we want to reach across, we want to work together, but there comes a time you just need to win elections and put the right people in power. And the issue right now is I've got no partners in the Minnesota Senate in the majority, but I do have an incredible partner in Susan Kent. We need to make sure that she has the gavel. The senators have the gavel with DFL behind their name, and make sure that I have partners that get this done. So we need 2 seats, people, and now is the time. So a lot of times we gather at these, and when we gather in off years, we know there is no such thing as an off year, so we start pushing it. We oftentimes talk about the most important election ever. Well, I don't need to tell you that this is it. And I'm just going to say it for so many of us. All of the losses and all of the things that were hard, and among those, the loss of giants of the progressive movement in John Lewis and Justice Ginsburg. They fought these fights. If both of them could fight these with their last breaths, while they're fighting cancer themselves and they're still out there fighting for justice and fighting for the things we care about, it's our responsibility to bring this thing home. It's our responsibility to get our neighbors there. And I know it's hard, but have that conversation with your brother-in-law who is simply sometimes clueless about what's happening, and you just drag him along. Because our values are those that have shaped this country. Our values are the ones that made sure everyone has health care. Our values said that no matter who you are, your voice matters. Ours are the values that said, you know what? We're going to welcome people who come to this country, and we're going to make sure that when you need a hand up, we're there to help you, and we're going to make sure that everybody matters. So as we take these chants to the street, as we take our work to the street, as we get those ballots in now that early voting's happening, understand what we've always understood. Politics really is about proving lives. It really is about being the best of who we are, and I can't tell you how proud I am to be the governor of this great state, and I can't tell you how proud I am to stand with DFLers. So I'm going to give my final shout out to someone who has to do a lot of this work, someone who doesn't hear a lot about it, but Ken Martin and the DFL are putting together an incredible program to make sure that our vote matters. Ken's the one who told them, don't you dare take Minnesota for granted, and we'll get that vote out. We'll win our 10 electoral votes. We'll send Tina Smith back, and we'll make sure that we have a working majority in the Minnesota House and Senate that allows us to move forward. So thanks, everybody, and again, my thank you for our namesake of this. Vice President Mondale, you are always an inspiration to all of us, and the dignity and the way you conducted yourself is exactly what we're going to get with Joe Biden. So let's get the vote done, Minnesota.
Thank you so much, Governor Walz. We are so proud to call you our governor. During this time, you have led with dignity, you have led with grace, and you have helped give confidence to Minnesotans that we have a path forward out of this pandemic. Thank you so much. And welcome back, everyone. Our third award of the evening is the Willard Munger Award for Distinguished Environmental Stewardship. This year's Munger Award recipient is Vita Kanitz, the chair of the DFL Environmental Caucus. As a longtime high school teacher, Vita has worked hard to raise awareness and improve young people's understanding of the need to respect our natural environment and resources. Vita is involved in numerous Minnesota environmental organizations, and she has brought that same passion and commitment from those organizations into the DFL Environmental Caucus, which she helped form, and through her leadership has grown into one of our largest and most active community caucuses. Thanks to Vita's hard work, our party is contributing to the work to protect and preserve our environment, our climate, and our planet for future generations. I am pleased to present this year's Willard Munger Award to Vita Kanitz.
I grew up loving nature and science. Rachel Carson, Jacques Cousteau, and Jane Goodall were my heroes. After college, I got a job teaching high school science and married my college sweetheart. We had 4 kids and now have 2 beautiful grandkids. Life's been good to me, but I worry. I worry about the world that we're leaving to my children and to future generations. We have not been good stewards of this earth. We have pillaged and polluted, and I worry about the future. And so I act. We all must act. I'm a climate reality leader and a member of Citizens Climate Lobby. But the work that I am most proud of is my work with the DFL Environmental Caucus. The caucus was formed to preserve and to protect our environment, to act on climate, to endorse and elect our environmental champions, our Willard Mungers. And now we've added to also always work for racial, social, and environmental justice. We know that we must elect Democrats up and down the ticket. We've got to send Trump and his cronies flying. We need to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House and make sure our Congress, our House and Senate are blue, are Democratic, so that we can act on these vital, vital issues facing our times. We have a climate crisis that is setting off alarm bells. We will continue to work on these issues.
Thank you, Vita, and congratulations on your award. And thank you so much to all the sponsors and folks who made this event possible this evening. I know that I'm looking forward to hearing from Senator Amy Klobuchar, Senator Tina Smith, and Senator Kamala Harris later on tonight. But let me take a moment to talk about why your support is so meaningful this evening. The DFL party relies heavily on grassroots donors like yourself to help fund our operations and get our supporters to the polls on Election Day. We are, and I'm not kidding, at a turning point in our country, and the election will be decided by the thinnest of margins here in Minnesota. We have one opportunity to defeat Donald Trump and his allies. Now, the good news is that we've had time to build the infrastructure to do that, to defeat Trump and the GOP this November. The bad news is that we are still getting outspent by the Trump campaign here in Minnesota by millions of dollars because Donald Trump is personally obsessed with flipping this state red. Now, I said this earlier. Donald Trump is a trophy collector. He collects trophy wives, he collects trophy properties, and there's no bigger trophy for a president running for re-election, and particularly a Republican, than flipping Minnesota, which has the longest streak in the nation of voting for the Democratic presidential nominee. That's why I'm here, about to take a risk to make a live ask of all of you watching from home. Now, I want to find out, can we raise $10,000 in just 10 minutes? Right now, we're going to put up a live meter, which will be on your screen, and we're going to show the progress throughout this 10-minute segment. And now you can donate live right now by going to dfl.org/donate. Again, dfl.org/donate, or clicking one of the express donate buttons to the right of your screen. Now, this will be fun. So will you all join me these next few minutes to help us reach our goal? And while I wait on you to go to that link, you may be asking, what will your $10, your $25, your $50, or your $250 do to help with 1 month left? Well, there's a lot. $10 tonight will put a handful of Biden-Harris lawn signs in yards throughout the state. $25 tonight will put a tank of gas in our van as we crisscross the state doing pop-up events around Minnesota. Your $50 tonight will buy a flight of digital ads to reach out to hundreds of undecided voters and get them to turn in their ballots. $100 tonight will send thousands of get out the vote texts to make sure folks know how to vote by mail. And $250 tonight will buy boxes full of literature to reach thousands of homes. And if you're really generous, $1,000 tonight will help us fund a day's worth of radio advertisements to reach thousands of undecided voters. So go to dfl.org/donate right now to pitch in what you can. For some of you, that means another $5. Some of you, I know there's some of you on here that can give a lot more. But whatever you can give, we appreciate. We have 33 days left and we don't have time to let up now. My staff just let me know that we have over 1,500 people watching this event right now from home. And if every single person went on their phone or computer right now and gave just $10, we'd hit this goal. So there's a few donors right now that have already given. I'm going to grab some from Barrett here. We know that Patrick from Roseville has already given $20. Thank you, Patrick. We know that Don in Hastings has given $50. Thank you so much, Don. We appreciate it. We know that Gail in St. Paul is another $100 giver. Thank you so much, Gail. Han in Maple Grove has given $50. Thank you, Han. How about some more? He can't keep up. Here we go. We know that Michael in Bloomington has given $250. We know that Libby in Lino Lakes has given $1,000. Thank you all for your contributions. Now let's keep going. We can't let up right now. We have 7 minutes left. Can we hit that $10,000 goal? Will you help us hit that $10,000 goal and raise the money we need to close out this election cycle and make sure that we send Donald Trump packing? Now we still have a few minutes left. Did you know that we have the only split legislature in the country? And we only need to flip 2 state Senate seats to win back the majority. You heard Governor Walz say how needed it is in this state for us to give him the governing majority he needs to actually move a progressive agenda forward. We have 2 seats that we need to flip, and your contributions tonight will help us get the vote out in those critical districts throughout the state. We have to win these seats back before redistricting so that we can make progress on things like climate change, gun violence prevention, racial justice, and so many other essential issues that we as progressives care deeply about. Now, I'm watching that meter go up. We're getting closer every second. Please go to dfl.org/donate right now to pitch in what you can. Barrett's got some more donors for me. Let me see. What do we got here? We've got Mary from North Mankato who's given $50. Thank you, Mary. We have Julianne from Chanhassen, who has given $100. Thank you, Julianne. We have Claudia from St. Paul, who has given $50. Thank you, Claudia, for your contribution. Mary in St. Paul has given $10. Thank you for your contribution. Folks, just yesterday, Donald Trump was in Minnesota. His 3rd stop in Minnesota in just a matter of weeks. And do you know what he said while he was here? He said, if I lose Minnesota, I'm never coming back. I don't care. Well, We need to do everything in our power to make sure that Donald Trump never comes back. We need to win Minnesota. Can you pitch in right now to make that happen? We need to fight back against his obsession with our state. It is imperative. Without Minnesota, we have another 4 years of darkness, another 4 years of unimaginable division, of violence, of lies, of hate. We can do this. We can bring change to this country. Let's dig deep. Like Senator Warren said, can you pitch in just $10 or $25 to help us cross this important finish line? Look where we are at, folks. Let's keep that meter moving. We've already raised $4,600 towards our $10,000 goal. We have 5 minutes left. Go to dfl.org/donate right now to donate. And yes, I feel like I'm on a telethon here. I never thought I'd do something like this, but pitch in anything you can. Heck, if you've already pitched in once, see if you can do it again a second time. $5, $25, $50, $100, whatever it is, it's going to help us expand our ground game here in Minnesota and do what we need to do to turn out the vote. So there's a few more donors I know that Barrett has here. We have Ruthie from Brooklyn Center has given $50. Thank you, Ruthie. We have Jed from Mound who's given $50. Thank you, Jed. We have Deborah from St. Paul who's given $100. Thank you, Deborah. We have Sean from Minneapolis who's given $100. I know which Sean this is, so thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Tommy from Hastings has given $50. Thank you so much, Tommy. We greatly appreciate it. And they keep coming in. We've got another one right here. We got Ron in St. Paul who's given $250. Thank you. So look, we're getting closer, guys. We have 4 minutes left. We're over halfway to our goal at this point. You know, not only do we have to defeat Donald Trump, you know, we need to re-elect Senator Tina Smith and send her back to the U.S. Senate. Because right now, as we speak, Donald Trump and the Senate Republicans are preparing to reject the final wish of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and force a Supreme Court nominee through the Senate while our nation is in crisis. This kind of unethical politics needs to end. We must send Tina back to the Senate so that we can restore a Democratic majority in the Senate. We must re-elect our wonderful congressional delegation and add members to it, like Dan Feehan in southern Minnesota and Quinn Nystrom in northeast Minnesota and Tanya Zaradka in the 6th Congressional District. Look at these numbers. Wow. We're doing it, guys. We're almost there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to continue on with the program soon. But we just got 3 minutes left. Can we get to that $10,000 goal? Can you keep the momentum up during this fundraising drive to get us to that goal and help us with this last push here? I've asked a lot of you, and many of you receive phone calls from me asking for money or emails or mail. And yes, we're always asking because we need it. We need it to make sure that we can elect Democrats, DFLers who share our values to office so we can continue to make a difference in people's lives. The reality is, you know, as I said earlier, these elections are not the final end goal for us. Our end goal is actually passing progressive policies that help improve people's lives. You see, elections are just the beginning. What we're here to do, all of us, every one of you who've joined this dinner tonight, every one of you who've hopped on the phone to make calls, to send texts out, to communicate with your friends, your neighbors, your family about this election, every one of you are making contributions to this effort, and I appreciate it. If you can spare $5, please do so. If you can hop on the phones after this tonight and into the weekend and in these final 33 days, I appreciate it. If you can talk to your neighbors and your friends about how important this election is, we appreciate it. It all makes a difference in our efforts to help us elect DFLers up and down the ballot. So with 1 minute and 32 seconds left, we are close. We have $7,500. We have $7,500 towards our goal. Someone wanted me to dance. I'm not going to dance, but what I will say is if we do hit that $10,000 goal, I'll dance. We've got a long ways to go and only 1 minute left to get there. Alan from Rochester has given $250. Thank you, Alan. Jennifer from Minneapolis has given $100. Thank you, Jennifer. Sarah in Eagan, my hometown, has given $1,000. Thank you so much, Sarah. I greatly appreciate it. Kieran in St. Paul If this is thank you, Kieran, for your $50 and everything you're doing for our campaigns here in Minnesota. Camille in Minneapolis has given $1,000. Thank you, Camille, for your contribution. We greatly appreciate it. Oh my God, am I going to have to dance? I don't know about this. Yvonne in New Ulm has given $25, and we have passed our goal with 34 seconds left. Helen in Egan has given $250. Let's keep it going, guys. 29 seconds left. 29 seconds left. Thank you so much for helping us meet that goal. So here's my dance, okay? This is my generation. I'm just going to do a little, how about that? A little pop and lock, guys. No? Okay. Well, I'll dance for you guys later, but let me just tell you this. Thank you. Thank you so much for helping. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for being great DFLers. And I know this is a little corny, but I will tell you this makes a huge difference. This is our largest event of the year. I wish we were all in person, able to see each other, to be with each other in the spirit of and of all of these great DFLers that normally join in these dinners. I know this is corny. I know this is for some folks maybe a little off-putting, but I will tell you it's really, really needed, and I'm very grateful for everything you've done. So with that, let's get back to this evening. It's on to our next award of the evening before we hear from our final three speakers. The next award is really important and really personal to me because it's named after one of my heroes, Paul Wellstone. This is the Paul D. Wellstone Award for Lifetime Commitment to Organized Labor. This year's Wellstone Award recipient is Denise Specht, the president of Education Minnesota. Denise has been instrumental in fighting for and lifting up classrooms, teachers, and students for many years as a fourth-generation teacher, and now as a president of Minnesota's largest union. Minnesota's strong public schools are the pride of communities across our state, and Denise has been able to use her personal experience to successfully champion the needs of the youngest Minnesotans and their teachers. During this pandemic and the reckless school reopening push from Republican politicians, Denise has been a fierce advocate for the health and safety of students and teachers. Minnesota's education system is better because of leaders like Denise Specht. It is a very high honor for me to present this year's Paul D. Wellstone Award to Denise Specht.
My name is Denise Specht, and I'm president of Education Minnesota. Well, as president of Education Minnesota, I represent about 86,000 union members who are teaching in public schools all across the state. We represent everything from early childhood educators, teachers, counselors, bus drivers, cooks, custodians, paras, all the way up to higher ed faculty. I think one thing that sticks out for me is how humble and giving educators are. More often than not, they are taking care of others before themselves. I don't know if it's just the work that they do or if it's their nature. So being part of a union ensures that somebody is watching out for them. And the best way to do that is through collective action. It's really hard to make a difference as one voice, but when we're working together collectively, we get more done. I actually didn't vote for Paul Wellstone when he first ran for Senate. I was teaching in Texas at the time, so when I moved back and got a teaching job in Minnesota, he visited my classroom. He was there as a guest speaker to talk about government. And I had no idea who he was, but I was absolutely captivated by him. I saw the teacher in him. I saw the person who was not only really excited about the work that he did, but to be able to capture the attention and the interest of sixth graders. That's a gift. And I think that just really speaks to who he was.
Congratulations, Denise. I'm so proud of your leadership. Thank you for all you do for kids like mine and for teachers throughout the state of Minnesota. All right, folks, we're getting to our final speeches of the night. I have had the privilege of knowing our next speaker for decades. Senator Amy Klobuchar is a personal friend and mentor of mine, but also a huge supporter of the DFL party. Our party would not be what it is today without for decades of steadfast leadership in our state. It is no surprise that Amy has won almost every Minnesota county in her elections because, like Vice President Biden, she governs for the people. We've seen her stand her ground in Washington and fight against Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell's right-wing nominations to the Supreme Court. We have seen her time and time again work to find common ground where she can, but to stand up and stand her ground when we need her to do that. I am proud to have Amy representing us in Washington, and I'm proud to have her here with us tonight. Friends, it is my honor to introduce Minnesota's senior senator, our friend, Amy Klobuchar.
Hello, friends. Hello, Minnesota. Thank you, Ken, for that kind introduction, and thank you all for joining us from wherever you are tonight. To the DFL activists and stalwarts out there, to the new people that have joined our party, your grit and determination amaze me. You are truly the hardiest of the heartland. Now, you all remember maybe I ran for president, right? And I was out there in that blizzard with the wind and the freezing temperature. And that was an incredible day. But what was most incredible about it was how so many of you turned out. Nothing would stop you. We were a happy, scrappy team. We believed in our message of unity, and together we brought that message from Boone Island to Iowa to New Hampshire and South Carolina and Nevada and beyond. And I've said before, and let me say it again, thank you. And our work isn't finished yet. I thought about that when Melvin and I did the virtual announcement in our incredible roll call showing the diversity of America as it is from Maine to California. I love that, by the way, in our convention. And we deliberately did it across the river because we wanted to show that it's time to cross the river of our divides. And we know there's no one better to do it than Joe Biden and my friend Kamala Harris. There is exactly 1 month until November 3rd. We have races up and down the ballot to win in our state, starting, of course, with my friend, Senator Tina Smith, who's a real champion for Minnesota's families. She's been fighting alongside Elizabeth to bring relief to child care centers and child care workers who are struggling during this pandemic. She's a leader on that very important committee right now, the Health Committee. And once we get through all this, we need Tina in the Senate to lead the long-term efforts to make child care more affordable, to make sure that health care goes out to everyone, to make sure that we have a vaccine that's distributed in a fair way. You know, Minnesota is one of only 6 states in the country that has sent not 1 but 2 women to the U.S. Senate. And here's the other cool part. When we re-elect Tina in November, and when we make sure we keep the House because of all your good work, we give that gavel to Speaker Melissa Hortman again. And then, and we are so close to doing this, we win back the state Senate, making Susan Kent the majority leader. Guess what, DFL? We will be the only state in the country to have 2 women in the Senate and 2 women in these important leadership positions. That's going to be great. These are challenging times, and they demand competence and compassionate leaders at every level. So let's send our incredible slate of candidates to town halls and city halls across Minnesota, virtually, yes, to the state house, to the nation's halls of power. Together, we can reclaim the Minnesota State Senate and the U.S. Senate. We can hold on to that House majority in St. Paul and Washington, D.C. We can finish the job America started, not just us, America and the entire state of Minnesota. Remember winning those elections for Dean and Angie in 2018. And this is where you can make some noise from your living rooms, wave your signs, do whatever. Send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. So I am so excited that we get to have Kamala as our speaker tonight. You know, yes, we work together really well in the Senate. When people run against each other, sometimes they get farther apart. We got closer. We're good friends. We, in fact, spent the night before Thanksgiving with our families together in some hotel in Iowa. I don't know why we were there. No, we were there because we were fighting for our democracy. And we have talked so much in these last few months. And I just can't tell you what a great vice president she will be. And by the way, she is fun as she is fierce. She took on the ban on gay marriage in her own state. She fought big oil and faced down the gun lobby. And you've seen her in those Judiciary Committee hearings in relentless pursuit of justice. She stands with the people, and Joe Biden stands with the people. He's been doing it all his life, whether that was ushering in the Affordable Care Act, a big deal, or helping bring our economy back from the recession. The two of them will be ready to go on day one. And we know how high the stakes are. Wildfires spreading, climate change unchecked, divisions growing, people out of work, small businesses struggling, students and teachers starting school in less than ideal conditions, that's putting it mildly, first graders learning to use the mute buttons. At the Republican National Convention, I go back a tale of two conventions. In 2016, Trump said, "I alone can fix this." Right. Look where we are now. Now, at this last convention, I don't care how many arias he had belted from the balcony. I don't care how much lawn they trampled in front of the White House. All that time, people were dying from the coronavirus. And there he said, "You made the world safer." Really? But as Joe Biden had said recently, divisiveness doesn't make America safer. Breaking promises to workers doesn't make America safer. Ignoring science doesn't make America safer. We need a president who will fight for those who've lost their jobs, because this administration is selling American workers out when we need to buy American. Someone who will fight for our teachers and parents who are doing work they didn't sign up for, juggling parenting and education, and literally juggling their kids on their laps while they're working, keeping a roof over their heads. It didn't have to be this way, but here we are. We need someone who will look out for our seniors, like my 92-year-old dad. Just after my husband recovered from being really sick from the coronavirus, my dad got COVID. And I'll never forget visiting him in the assisted living through a glass window. And he has Alzheimer's, and he's standing there, and I'm talking to him. He knows who we are, but he can't figure out what's going on. He looks so small. I thought it was going to be the last time I saw him. Well, somehow he got through it. But so many weren't so lucky. So yes, we need a president who will manage us through this crisis and get us to the day after tomorrow, so we can work on all those big things that we have been talking about, to make sure we tackle climate change and immigration reform, and do something about racial justice and police reform, and make sure we do something about child care and work family leave. The American people are with us. And now, we need a president who will appoint Supreme Court justices who actually believe in justice. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an icon, a hero. On the bench, she pursued justice relentlessly. Out in the world, she made justice cool. Who becomes an international icon with their own hashtag in their 80s? I'll never forget when my daughter was in college, we were at an event where the notorious RBG and I were both getting honored. So we got a picture with her. And Abigail was so excited to have this for a Facebook photo of the three of us. But she came up to me later, "Mom," she says, "it's a notorious RBG. I hope you don't mind. I cut you out of the photo." You know, our nation has been forever changed because of Justice Ginsburg's work. And it certainly will not be the same without her. In her final days, Justice Ginsburg made her wish clear that a new nomination would not come until after a new president is sworn in. Yet in the hours after she tragically passed, President Donald Trump and Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made it clear that they would not honor her dying wish. I'm not a judge, but in my opinion, that's unconscionable. There are 34 days until the election, DFLers, but in reality it is already well under, where voters in dozens of states, including our own, are either sending in their ballots or voting early in person. You know what a great job Steve Simon has done to make it easy to vote, and before that, Joan Grow. Do those votes matter, Mr. President? It's this simple. The people should pick the next president, and that president should nominate the justice. Anything else would further break the trust of the American people. We can't do what they're proposing. Our democracy should not withstand it. But let me tell you this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will restore trust in this country by getting frontline workers the protective equipment they need and scaling up testing and contact tracing, by protecting our communities from the effects of global warming, by protecting our communities, period. Friends, this year has given us a lot, but nothing more that we can't handle if we handle it together. Our state, led by Governor Tim Walz, has come together to take on this virus. We have done what the administration should do, any administration. Listen to the experts, make a plan, and implement it. Tim Walz needs his powers, just like governors across the country and the President of the United States have. So if you want a reason to take back that state Senate, look at what they're proposing. Governor Walz, he needs to be able to order masks and protective equipment if he needs to. Governor Walz, he needs to make decisions for the safety of our seniors. We have to win the state Senate. We've also come together in George Floyd's memory, and instead of using the Bible as a prop, to heed its words. That's what we should do, to act justly. And now with 1 month to go, we are coming together to win this election. You know, with so much going on, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the immediate. I literally have to wake up every day and think, eyes on the prize. What do we want to do? We want to win our election. We want to bring decency and dignity back to the White House and the halls of the U.S. Senate. We can get bogged down in what's happening today and what's the latest fight on social media and what Donald Trump has said. But DFLers, it's time to start thinking about tomorrow. It is the time to mark the beginning of a new chapter of our nation. Now more than ever, Minnesotans and people across the country understand the importance of investing in healthcare and education, the threat of climate change, to make sure we can safely and securely cast our ballots. We need leaders who will get us through crises, not create them. In so many ways, catastrophe has pushed us closer to consensus. That's why Joe Biden's ahead in Minnesota. That's why Tina's ahead. One of those last polls I saw Joe Biden double digits ahead in our state, despite the repeated visits of Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Guess what? Our people know otherwise. Now, I need you to reach out to your friends that don't always vote, to your family members. Some of them don't always vote. Neighbors. Some of it you're going to be doing virtually, some of it when you're outside, some of it you're going to do by calling people, and then those independents and moderate Republicans, let's reach out to them too. Let's make this election not just as a referendum as what has been, but what can be. Let's get out the vote like our future depends on it. Let's get out the vote, as Michelle has said, like your life depends on it. Let's get it done. I want to see you again in person when we will celebrate this victory. Let's get it done. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for all of your work around the state, helping DFLers, and all of your work around the country, helping us make sure we elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and that we take back the U.S. Senate and help elect Democrats throughout this country. Thank you so much, Amy. Before we move on to our final awards, let's take a look and see where we stand on our fundraising goal at this time. Holy smokes. Wow. Thank you, DFLers, for digging in deep tonight. This is what Minnesotans do. This is what DFLers do. If you can help us reach this next $1,000 goal, get to $17,000, please do so by clicking the buttons to the right of your screen or by going to dfl.org/donate. Thank you so much for helping out. So before our final speeches of the evening from Tina Smith and Kamala Harris, we have just 2 more awards. And these are our party's highest awards. Our next award this evening is the Joan and Walter Mondale Award for Public Service. This year's recipient of the Mondale Award is the embodiment of public service, my good friend, Senator Dick Cohen. Dick has played a huge role in some of the most important legislation over the last 4 decades in Minnesota. First as a House member from 1977 to 1987, and then as a member of the state Senate these last 33 years. Throughout his time in the Minnesota legislature, Senator Cohen was known for his commitment to the arts, and I had the great fortune to work with him on the passing of the Legacy Amendment, which is still one of the largest arts initiatives in our country. 2009, Senator Cohen was appointed by President Barack Obama to the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities. There is no Minnesotan in our state's 142-year history who has done more for our arts, culture, or humanities than Dick Cohen. In addition to his fierce support for the arts, Senator Cohen also chaired the Senate Finance Committee, where he helped craft budgets through the years that invested in improving people's lives and strengthening communities around Minnesota. A legislator's legislator. There are not many people who understood how to get things done at the Capitol like Dick Cohen. On a personal note, Dick has been a great friend for many years and one of the legislators that I turn to often for political advice. I'm going to deeply miss having his expertise and voice in the legislature. And so it is fitting that this year's recipient of the Joan and Walter Mondale Award is Senator Dick Cohen.
Hi, I'm Dick Cohen. I'm the state senator from District 64 in St. Paul, representing the western third of St. Paul. I've served in the Senate for 34 years, 6 years prior to that in the State House. And I'm probably best known for chairing the Senate Finance Committee over a number of years. As I got older, when I was in college, although I didn't go to college in Minnesota, I was in school in Chicago at Northwestern. I began involvement in serious DFL politics. Did not plan on running for office. I thought what I wanted to do was work on Capitol Hill for a couple of years, ultimately work on a presidential campaign. But came back to Minnesota after graduating, got involved in local politics, found myself by happenstance running for the State House when I was 25, the first Democrat in the history of my area to be elected to the House, and found myself getting elected that year. I was in Washington to see if I could find some type of position on Capitol Hill. And in a couple of offices, when I gave my name, I was immediately put through to the Chief of Staff. The reason being is that the Chief of Staff thought that I was Richard Cohen, who then was the principal national columnist for the Washington Post. I didn't get a job, but I did get an interview as a consequence. And I decided I'd call Richard Cohen on a tongue-in-cheek basis to just thank him for his help in my job seeking. He suggested I come over to the Post and say hello, which I did. And in the conversation, he immediately asked what it was like to come from a state that had Walter Mondale as its U.S. Senator. Senator Mondale, Vice President Mondale, was somebody who was very special in Washington and very special in the history of our state and our country.
Congratulations, Senator Cohen. Thank you for all you've done through the years for our great state. Thank you for your leadership and your friendship for our DFL party. And while you'll be leaving the legislature, I know that you're not done being involved in politics, and I look forward to continuing to rely on you and to continuing our work together. Thank you, Senator Cohen. Our last award of the evening is our party's highest honor, and named after one of the founders of the Minnesota DFL, the Hubert H. Humphrey Award for dedication and leadership to the Minnesota DFL. This year's recipient is Chris Thorpe, the chair of the DFL Constitution, Rules, and Bylaws Committee. Now, some of you, rightfully so, may not have heard of Chris before this evening, but those involved with the party know Chris and they know him well. His tireless work behind the scenes has helped many leaders, including me, throughout the state do the work of building our party and building the infrastructure necessary to win elections in this state. This year has proved to be one of the most difficult in our party's 76-year history. Without Chris's leadership, our party would never have been able to adapt to the chaos and uncertainty that was caused by COVID-19. Chris's work ethic, his fairness, and creativity guaranteed that our party's process, which ensures that the voices of the grassroots are the ones that decide not only what our party stands for, but who our party supports through endorsements. His work ensured that that process continued just as meaningfully today as it has through all of these years. You see, grassroots democracy is at the core of the DFL party, from our caucuses and conventions to our endorsement process to our living constitution. Chris Thorpe has done more than almost anybody to ensure the DFL party's grassroots democracy that we all cherish remains vibrant and strong. So on behalf of a grateful DFL party, I am honored to present this year's Hubert H. Humphrey Award to Chris Thorpe.
I, 1
Hi, I'm Chris Thorpe, co-chair of the State Constitution, Bylaws, and Rules Committee. I've been a volunteer with the DFL for better part of 15 years now. I've volunteered at all different levels of the DFL, from precinct chair to Senate district chair. Been active at the congressional district level and at the state level as well. This past cycle I was a state director and worked with the executive committee and the state central committee. But I'm most proud of my work with the State Constitution, Bylaws, and Rules Committee, where we work on really the process that governs our endorsements. When I work in the Constitution, Bylaws, and Rules Committee, we work to figure out how to make our process more fair and transparent, more accessible, and more democratic. And I try to bring that to all the work that I do within the DFL. Hubert Humphrey really was a stalwart in Minnesota and national politics. He worked to put together the Democratic and the Farmer Labor parties here in Minnesota and figure out what that meant from an organizational structure standpoint, and really work to make progressive change. So I'd like to ask everybody what you can do to make our party more fair and transparent, to make our government more fair and transparent, what we can do to make our country and our state a better place.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for all you do for this DFL party. We are grateful. All right, folks, we're in the home stretch. Our next speaker is one of Minnesota's great progressive leaders. Senator Tina Smith fought for Minnesotans as lieutenant governor and continues to fight for them in the U.S. Senate. She is a strong advocate for Indigenous families and a fierce protector of Minnesota's natural wildlife and resources. Our state would look a lot different without Senator Smith. And here at the DFL, we are deeply committed to guaranteeing her a full 6-year term in the United States Senate. Her race was important before, but with the passing of Justice Ginsburg, her race is one that we just cannot afford to lose. Senator Smith knows this too. She has been working tirelessly in Washington and here on the ground throughout Minnesota's 87 counties. I've known Tina for a long time, and she has been so committed to making Minnesota a better place for all people. I'm grateful for her leadership, and I'm thrilled to have her join us tonight. Please welcome Senator Tina Smith.
Hello, DFLers. I'm Senator Tina Smith. And while this Humphrey-Mondale dinner doesn't look much like it did last year, I'm just so appreciative of all the hard work that's gone into making sure that our tradition that we love so much can continue virtually. I want to first take a moment to recognize the loss and the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born the year after my mother, and thanks to her, thanks to RBG, the arc of the moral universe has bent a little more towards justice. Today, women have more freedom and more opportunity to build the lives that we want because of her. And while Democrats want to fulfill her most fervent wish that she not be replaced until a new president is installed, Mitch McConnell and Republicans are going forward with an egregious power grab. Americans need to make our voices heard. We have only 33 days until Election Day, and early voting has already started. We're all dealing with a global pandemic that's shaking the foundations of our health and economic well-being. We're living through a historic moment in the fight for racial justice after the murder of George Floyd. And as I talk to people all over Minnesota, what I hear from you is that you're worried, but that you're working so hard and you still feel hopeful. It's personal. It's your job. It's the business that you built. It's your family's health. It's your kids' education. And in this moment, we need leaders who understand this, and leaders who are going to lift up the best of who we are. I mean, we are in this together, literally. Your health is my health, and mine is yours. So this is what is at stake in this election. Will we follow the path of fear and division and chaos, a path which is hurting our health and our economy and our democracy? And this is where Donald Trump and my opponent want to take us. Or will we come together and build forward and bring out the best in ourselves? I believe that we can build back better and stronger. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are strong, empathetic leaders, and they're focused on delivering results for people. And they understand that this election isn't just about what's wrong. It's about what we need to do to make it right. And we Democrats have a plan to make sure that healthcare is a fundamental human right and that this economy works for everyone. We have a plan to rebuild our infrastructure, including broadband, and rebuild American manufacturing. And we have a plan to work for racial equality and to take real action on climate change. This is who I am. I am a doer, not a talker. And this is why I've been able to get more than 24 of my bills and measures passed into law. I've passed laws to lower prescription drug costs, to provide free COVID tests for everyone, to expand rural broadband, and to help Minnesota tribes respond to the COVID pandemic. At heart, I'm an organizer, and I'm working with all of you to build a big coalition for more opportunity, more fairness, and more justice for all of us, and a better world for our new grandson, Ari. So in order to do all of this, where do we go from here? I know that you're worried, but worry isn't a strategy. Organizing is a strategy. Voting is a strategy. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are our next president and vice president. I'm doing all that I can to make sure that I win this most important election and that we keep this most precious Senate seat and put a Democratic majority in the US Senate. And remember, the path to a Democratic majority goes right through Minnesota. This is a fight. We need to keep the US House and win local races up and down the ballot. The future of our country is on the line, and we need to organize and vote like our lives depended on it. So you can vote early. You can vote early by mail or in person or on election day. But I know you DFLers, and I'm guessing that you already have a plan. So that's good, but now you need to go out and find 10 people and get them to do the same, and then get them to volunteer. We can do this, but it's going to take all of us. So let's work hard these last 33 days, and let's win big in November. So thank you to all of you. I am so honored to be your senator, and I'm so glad now to be able to introduce my friend, colleague, and tonight's special guest, the future Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Hello, Minnesota. Both Joe and I are so thankful for the work that you are doing to win this election for Democrats up and down the ticket. I know you're doing everything you can to help my friend Tina Smith in the United States Senate and put the State House fully in Democratic control. And thank you to Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan for your leadership in the state. And to my two good friends and colleagues, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Amy Klobuchar. I am so proud to stand with you in this fight side by side as we do the work we have done together on so many levels. And Joe and I are doing everything we can to build on the momentum that all of you have built in the state, because, of course, taking back the White House runs straight through Minnesota. And we know it's going to take a Democratic Senate and Democratic state houses across our country to build America back better. When Joe asked me to join this ticket, saying yes was one of the easiest decisions I've ever made, because I know what you know. We can do better than this. We are better than this. I don't need to tell you what is on the line in this race. Donald Trump reminds us every day of who he is and how much worse it can get with a second term in office. And then with the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we've certainly lost a titan. She was a defender of justice in our country and a legal mind for the ages. Justice Ginsburg was known to pose the question, what is the difference, she would ask, between a bookkeeper in the garment district and a United States Supreme Court justice? And her answer? One generation. The loss of Justice Ginsburg is another reminder that we are facing the most important election of our lifetime. We're in the midst of a fight for justice at every level, including economic justice, healthcare justice, education justice, and more.
And in the midst of all of this, we have a president who refuses to do his job, who stokes chaos and division, who purposely lied to the American people about the threat of the coronavirus. He mocked life-saving guidance from scientists. He pushed false cures and abdicated all responsibility to take action as president. And now, almost 7 million people in our country have been affected. 200,000 have died, more than 2,000 right here in Minnesota. And we have to look beyond these statistics. Let's also look at the fact that every time those numbers tick up, that's another family that is cloaked in grief. It's another broken-hearted community who knows it didn't have to be this bad. Donald Trump's failures on every front have families across Minnesota worried about how they're going to stay safe from COVID, how they're going to be able to afford health care and earn a paycheck in a historic recession. And as Americans cry out for leadership that unites us, leadership that would work to heal our racial divides and root out injustice in our communities, well, Donald Trump, he just fans the flames. Americans simply cannot afford 4 more years of this. Joe and I are ready to serve the people. Joe and I will restore honest leadership to the White House. Joe and I will implement a plan to get this pandemic under control. Our economic plan is built around working people and small businesses and those who have been hit the hardest. Joe and I will work to expand access to quality and affordable health care and lower the costs for everyone, as opposed to the Trump administration, who is in court right now trying to rip health care away from over 20 million people and remove protections for 130 million people who have pre-existing conditions. We know that we are a nation of immigrants and that the American dream is for all of us, no matter what you look like, where you're from, how much money you make, or the language your grandmother speaks. And Joe and I will work to root out the systemic racism that still permeates our courtrooms and our prisons and policing in America. We will win this race, and Joe and I will build back better, and we will unite our country again. But we're only going to be able to do it with your help. So please, keep putting all of your energy into this race, because we know what's at stake, and we all know we don't have a moment to waste. So thank you again for everything you are doing this year and every year. And let's keep up the hard work, and let's bring this race home. I'll see you later. Take care.
1.
Thank you so much, Senator Harris, our next Vice President of the United States, for coming to Minnesota for this virtual fundraiser. And thank you to Tina Smith and all of our wonderful speakers tonight, and every one of you for watching at home for joining us. We have 33 days left until this most important election of our lifetimes. We need everyone to do their part to protect American democracy. Now, if you're feeling fired up like I am, come and volunteer with us at the DFL. You can join us by going to dfl.org/volunteer, or you can pitch in with another contribution of your choice right now. As you can see, we're nearing $20,000 raised just during this event alone. But do something, whatever you can do. Make a phone call, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, get out the vote. Volunteer with the DFL, volunteer with your local candidates, give more money. Whatever you do, it's going to make a difference, because we have 33 days left. 33 days left to save our democracy, to restore sanity and decency to the White House, and to get this country back on track. I hope you've enjoyed what is our very first virtual Humphrey-Mondale dinner. Of course, there were a few glitches here and there, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time, and I look forward to joining all of you on the campaign trail these next 33 days. Have a great evening, and let's go win this election. Thank you.